Welcome everyone to today's Moments Off the Mat. I'm Cody Bickley, USA Wrestling National Team High Performance Manager. Joined today by head men's freestyle national team coach Bill Zadick, as well as two-time PBR world champ Jess Lockwood. Jess, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. Bill, we'll let you get started today.
Yeah, so Jess, we have a little connection, both growing up in Montana. You were, of course, Montana high school state champion. I think your freshman season, correct?
Yes, sir, my freshman year.
And end up becoming the youngest PBR world champion ever in 2017, which is the same year that we won a world title and as a team. And so what have you been doing since then? Give us a little background on your wrestling and your bull riding and what's been going on since 2017.
You know, I started wrestling at a young age. I was in kindergarten, actually, and they handed out flyers. And it was like, join the AAU wrestling team. And I brought it home to Dad. And at that point, I was young enough, you know, I didn't know anything that Dad used to do, really, other than bronc ride and ride saddle bronc horses. And I asked him, what is wrestling, Dad? And he's like, I used to wrestle. And he was like, you have an opponent and you try to beat them in short. And I was like, I want to try that, I think. And I was 6 years old, and it went from there till my junior year of high school. So I had a pretty long wrestling career, I guess, for a short amount of time.
Yeah. And so, and you grew up in Volborg, Montana. You grew up on a ranch, country lifestyle a little bit.
Yeah, we have a ranch here in southeastern Montana, and we run about 400 head of Black Angus cattle, and we run them on 10,000 acres. And in 2018, through the PBR and how good they are to us bull riders and the money they put up for us, I was able to buy my own ranch about 4 miles from Mom and Dad, 180 acres, and I got a couple, 2-3 garages, an airplane hangar, an indoor arena to buck my bulls, and a house. And I got my little workout shed here with the wrestling mat in it in case me and my buddies ever get to feeling frisky. So
Yeah, that's cool stuff.
Jess, you mentioned you got a hangar there. Is that something, literally you got your own little plane, you got somebody to fly you around a little bit, or is that something you're looking forward to in the future?
You know, if I had my own little plane, it would be the handiest thing in the world. But the problem is it's hard to find a pilot around this area. And the funny thing is, my uncle is a pilot, but he refuses to fly anyone even in his plane with him. He's so scared of what could happen, and he's so paranoid about it. So if I did get my own plane and I found a pilot, it would sure be handy to go to all bull ridings during the year and summer and everything.
Yeah. So on your ranch, on your place, you're 180. Are you raising cattle for beef? Are you contracting stock, bucking bulls, or what's the focus of your ranching operation?
I'm all over the place, Bill. I just went and picked up 4 bucking bulls, so when I'm healthy, I can start practicing on them again. And I picked them up Monday, and then Tuesday I drove 9 hours round trip and picked up 10 head of Black Angus mama cows with calves on them that I had bought last fall, and I kicked them out in my big back pasture behind the house. So I have 25 black mama cows over with the parents on the home ranch, and then I have just 10 head in my back pasture here. So and then I've got a really tame bucking bull in one pasture, and he's got a little steer friend. Yeah, I've just got animals everywhere.
Yeah, it sounds like a busy operation. So
yeah, it is.
The bucking bulls that you're training on, that you have at your home place, how do they compare to the level that we see in PBR?
So it's a funny story. One of my good buddies, he fights bulls in the PBR. His father-in-law also hauls bulls to the PBR. And the bulls I purchased from him are 7 years old, which is kind of getting up there in age for a bucking bull. Not too bad, but he has so many young bulls that he wanted to get rid of them, and no one would buy them. And finally he texted me and asked me if I would like them because he was going to take them to the sale barn. And he sold me 4 PBR bulls they'd just go and be in the first round probably. They're just good enough to be amount of points on you could compete in the weekend. But I got them for $1,500 a piece, whereas a normal bull like that would probably go for upwards of $10,000.
Yeah, wow.
So I was very fortunate to get these to practice on because they're something that you'd usually get on in a weekend.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of similar to our world on the mat, right? The quality of your performance is largely dependent on how you're training, right? Your training partners, and in your case, the bulls that you're practicing on.
Yeah, in this sense, I looked out and got a David Taylor to practice with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about, you obviously come from a successful family. Talk a little bit about your recently wed bride and what you have going on there.
We got married last fall, and we just been busy ever since. Really, we didn't have time for a honeymoon. Just went from the wedding. 3 days later, flew to PBR finals, competed there. A week later, went to the NFR, and then been on the road ever since, pretty much.
For our fans that are watching, introduce your wife and tell us what she does.
Haley Kinzel, her maiden name. She's a 2-time PRCA, WPRA barrel racing world champion.
So I bet a lot of interesting discussions around the dinner table about who's the better champ of the house, right?
I let her have it, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, amen. Good
stuff.
philosophy.
Good stuff. So, Jess, we know to want to get into a little bit here. Unfortunately, you were at an event earlier this year in Kansas City, I believe, and had a heck of a ride. I believe it was maybe a 91.5 point ride. And unfortunately, I think in getting off, you hung a spur. And for our fans out there that maybe don't understand that, can you talk a little bit about what happened? Because obviously it was a pretty devastating injury and recovery process that you're in right now.
Yeah, and it was the biggest fluke, crazy injury that, to me, myself, that I've ever seen. And I've watched old tapes and I've watched bull riding my whole life, and it was crazy. But essentially, a bucking bull, he has a flank around his waist, and a lot of people thinks it messes with their stuff, but it doesn't. It's like a person wearing a belt, and what it does is it makes that bull kick out and try to kick that thing off the whole time. Well, when I went to get off, this bull was bucking really hard, and I went to get off, and he kicked over top of my leg that was still back, and it slid up, and it caught that flank rope, and it's a nylon rope, so it kind of does stick into your spurs a little bit if worst case scenario. And that happened, and I had my left leg posted out in front of me like I was going to land in kind of an athletic stance. Well, that leg hit first, and that one that was stuck in the rope, it pulled me back, and it slammed me into the ground, and it extended me further than the splits. It tore my ligaments, muscles, tendons of my hamstring off the hip bone. It cut them in half, halfway down. It took some of the hip bone with it, and also the hamstring muscles slid too far down behind my knee than where they were supposed to be.
And so a little bit going into that, I mean, obviously that's a devastating injury, but I think I also read that, they kind of got in there and started working on it, and it wasn't as bad as maybe they had initially thought. Can you talk a little bit about where you're at in the process and maybe your projection of what you're hoping to be back on tour?
Yeah, they got in there, and the main tendon was still attached to the bone. It was cut in half, but it was still attached to the hip bone itself. So that made a big difference. And after surgery, I was in a knee brace stuck at a 60-degree angle, and also a hip brace that came up to my chest for 6 weeks. And I'm nowhere near as hard a worker as my dad, but I get up at 6:30 in the morning. I try to work until it's dark. And to go from that to being in 2 braces and not being able to get up and get a glass of water or do anything, and having to sit around for 6 weeks straight, I was going crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Man, I've had a few. I've been fortunate that I haven't had any in my wrestling career. I didn't have any catastrophic injury, but I was had some minor surgeries, and I had one where I was immobile, just my knee, for 6 to 8 weeks, and that's some challenges, right? Like just emotionally, like you said, when you're super active all the time and you're working out or your active lifestyle outside of your sport, and then you're hopping around on crutches or totally immobile.
Yeah.
That's a challenging thing to go through, right?
Oh, it was a big transition, and 6 weeks in that, and then I got out of that, and I'm like, oh heck yeah, I'll be good now. Well, then I had to completely teach that leg to even walk again, and I'm still walking a little funny. I can't walk. I can't even get into a fast walk now.
Wow.
But therapy's going great. My leg has no pain whatsoever, and the only thing I can't do right now is put on my sock. So I've got to have my buddies around or something to put on my sock. And if they're not here, then I'm going to be driving over to home with a barefoot and boots and socks on the other foot, and have to walk in the house barefoot and have mom put it on.
Oh, that's good.
Those are some real good buddies that are putting your socks on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Jess, what's your gauge then? What's your target date? What are you shooting for to kind of be back on tour?
6 months from the day of surgery. I talked to the PBR's doctor, Dr. Tandy Freeman, and he said, even if you, by some miracle, are healed up in 5.5 months, he said, I still will not let you ride, because the protocol on that surgery is that it takes exactly 6 months for those tendons, those muscles, ligaments, or whatever to form back to the bone correctly. So it looks like it'll be September 9th and 10th is Anaheim, California, and that's where I'm planning on starting it back again.
Yeah. So when will you, will that be the first time you're on a bull, or when will the first time you be able to train and get back on a bull?
See, I'm hoping I'm going to fly to Tandy that Monday of that week, and I know that'll be 5 months and whatever, 25 days, but I'm hoping he says that I'm good enough to go home and get on some bulls on maybe Wednesday, Thursday, fly out to the event and ride Saturday, Sunday. So hopefully the 4 days isn't going to make the difference, and I can get on a couple bulls.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times in those cases, I mean, I know with our athletes, a little bit of patience, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure in that circumstance. So yeah, I think you're smart to wait until that date. But yeah, so kind of correlate a little bit of the wrestling world to the bull riding world for Cody. I have a little bit of country background. My family had horses. Cody, of course, for our fans, probably don't know that he grew up on a ranch and did some bull riding when he was a young man. And I think bull riding is a tough sport, right? I mean, you're facing some real challenges and obviously some potential for injury. Give us a little correlation and the similarities that you see between the two, and how wrestling helped your bull riding and how bull riding might help wrestling.
That's the biggest thing to me is growing up, starting wrestling that soon and not learning. Team sports are good, I believe. But to me, the fact of wrestling and bull riding both is that it is dependent on you. It doesn't matter if you have a great player on your team that you can get the ball to, he can make a basket or whatever. It doesn't work like that in these two sports. It's what the time you put into it, the effort you put into it, and the heart you have that really shows it. And when you fail, it's all because of you. You can't blame it on anyone else. The bull, the wrestler, it's because you weren't the best that day. That's what I like is the accountability of each sport.
Yeah. I think a lot of people can identify with that accountability. When you've had some big moments, right? I mean, we already talked about you being the youngest PBR world champion, but you also hit another milestone this past year where the youngest or fastest to to eclipse the $4 million earnings mark. I think it was 39 months or something, which is pretty significant accomplishment, testament to consistency, right?
Yeah, and I feel like last year, me and Justin McBride, to me, he's the greatest bull rider of all time, and he's one of my best friends, and me and him talk on the phone daily. And last year, he told me at the the second half of the season in August, it started up, and he kind of had a real talk with me, and he said, these last 16, 17, 18, these last 3 years, you've known you were supposed to ride every single bull, and you've done that. But now I think you truly believe you can ride every single bull, and it's really showing. My consistency went up last year, picking the ranked bulls, getting them rode, just a lot of factors that I hadn't hit yet. It started coming on last year.
Yeah, well, you sure rode great. I mean, what a thrilling season to watch. I mean, for I know Cody follows it really closely, and I follow you even more now than I did before. But to come from behind, I think at one point you were 655 points back, and you come on, and Jose Vitor was, by all accounts, riding extremely well. I mean, that guy he was like he had glue on his jeans. But
Oh yeah.
so you kind of alluded to it there with talking about Justin and his mentoring with you. But go into that a little bit more. The big moments, the anxiety, and what you're focused on when you're behind and you really you're chasing something. What's going through your mind? How are you visualizing your career?
Yeah. So last year, I was off to the hottest start. I think they said in the history of the PBR, I think my riding percentage was upwards of 75, 80% or something. And I won the first 2 of the 4 events. And then on the 5th event or 6th event, I got jerked down and broke my clavicle. And I was out for 3 months with that. It broke in a bad spot too close to my neck to where they couldn't go in and pin it up, and I could be back in 2 weeks. So I had to sit out 3 months, and during those 3 months, Jose Vitor he went on a tear, and he jumped ahead of me, and I dropped down 3 spots in the standings. And then when I came back, I didn't come back bad, but not near as good as I wanted to. And he won one of those events that I was at as well when I came back. And going into the summer run, he was ahead by 1,000 points at one point, and I had the best summer run in the history of the PBR. Again, I probably went to 15 minor league touring pro PBRs, and I think I won about 10 of them. And coming into the second half of the season, I was feeling as good as ever. My body was healthy. My confidence was at an all-time high. And I won the first 2 events going back into the second half of the season. And, there was some down events where I didn't do that good. And then going into the World Finals, Jose was still ahead by 700 points at that point. And and it came down to going into the finals. I knew if I didn't win the World Finals event title itself, which has a bonus of 1,500 points, that I would not win the world title. So it was a lot of pressure going in, knowing that that's the hardest event to ever win. Justin McBride, like I said, the greatest of all time, in his 10, 11 year career, he never won it. And it's getting on the best bulls in the entire world every single day for 6 days, for 5 days. And it was the most nervous I have ever been. But I got the first bull down, and from there my confidence just kept getting higher and higher. And Jose bucked off in the second round, and he kind of gave me that step ahead that I needed. And going into the short go, it was crazy. I was number 1 in the event. Jose was number 2, and Chase Outlaw was number 3, and he was number 3 in the world as well. So it came down to, we were the last 3 guys to go. And if Chase Outlaw was 95 points, he would have won the world title if I bucked off and Jose bucked off. If Jose was 93 points and I bucked off, he would win the world title. And all I had to do was, if they bucked off and I bucked off, then I won. But if they rode, I had to ride that bull to win the world title. But they ended up bucking off, and I bucked off too, but it worked out. I rode 5 out of 6 at the finals and ended up the world champ. And Jose was just a few points behind me, 200 points or so, even with me winning the world event title.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was awesome drama,
Yeah.
Jess. It was great coming down, like just nip and tuck there at the end. It was a lot of fun. But hey, I want to talk about a little bit too now, getting into this year. I mean, you're going to be behind the 8 ball, so to speak, a little bit. You talk about your confidence and going back in there a little bit. Guys are riding right now, accumulating points. Talk a little bit about where you stand, and then trying to make that run, and that so fans understand PBR World Champion, World Finals are going to be in November, right? So can you talk a little bit about how you obviously hope to see that shake out and what you feel you have to do?
Yeah, me and Jose, when the year started, we jumped right into it, and we won the first couple events, and we're neck and neck, and we're quite a ways ahead of everyone else, to where at this point I'm gonna stay number 2. There's no one else that can catch me in the number 2 spot, and he's a ways ahead of me right now. He's been on a tear ever since I got hurt, winning bull ridings and accumulating points. So I'm 2 event wins behind him right now, points wise. And with the summer, all this virus going on, we have no summer events pretty much. Everything is canceled, which is terrible and sucks for every other bull rider, but it's helping me out. But I don't like to be too grateful for that, because none of my buddies can go and have fun. My brother can't go. But going into the second half of the season, I'm going to miss the first 2 coming back off a summer break, and I'll be at the third. And I'll actually miss less events this year than I did last year, breaking my collarbone, because it was right in the middle of the season, to where this one kind of runs into the summer break.
So that September start time, as long as everything goes well, that fits for you pretty well.
It does. It fits for me very well. As long as I'm not too reckless with my ranch work or bucking bulls or anything, which I'm trying to be as careful as ever. As long as I keep on track, I'll be right in the mix for the world title again.
Yeah. Well, we'll be rooting for you, for that's for sure. So
thank you guys.
So quick questions, couple of that I think have some correlation. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind just every time you get on that bull? You're sitting in the chutes, you're waiting to give the nod or tell them to throw the gate. What are you thinking in that moment, that critical moment?
Man, it's hard to explain to someone what goes through your head, because you really don't think while you're riding. It's all muscle memory reaction. And
that's what I was actually clearing your mind, or are you thinking about something specific?
On each one there is something specific, but more than anything, it's just it's a dangerous sport. If your mind's not all the way in it, you're more than likely going to get hurt. So you've got to go into every ride expecting yourself to ride, giving it 110%. You're never going to be perfect during the ride. There's going to be moments where it's easy to check out and look off and get off safely, but you tie your hand in there, you better plan on just giving it your all and staying on that thing. It goes a lot better that way. And there's some bulls. There's a bull last year, Heartbreak Kid. He'd been unridden for 3 years now, and I was the first guy to ride him, and I'd chosen him 2 other times prior to that, and then he handed me my butt. He just made me look silly and jerked me down, knocked me around on his head. But going into a race with Jose, I'm behind in the event, and he's number 1 guy. He picks the best bull to win it on, just a good bull to win it on. And that makes me choose the best bull in the world, never been rode. He's 4 riders. If he bucks off 4 more riders, he has a PBR record for the most consecutive buck-offs. Yeah. And everyone was pretty excited about that. And there were people that were like, why would you do that? That bull is so hard to get by, so hard to ride and get a score on. And I rode him, and I can't tell you, I was just as nervous as I was those bulls during the world finals, because he's one of the most dangerous bulls in the world, as hard as he bucks, and he tries to jerk you down on his head. And I did something on him that I've done it a couple other times, but I never do it. I had my hand in the rope, and with this bull, if you kind of get up there and get your seat, he's so smart that he'll buck you off in 2 seconds if you do that. So I slid off my rope a couple feet, and I asked the stock contractor, I said, "Are you ready back there?" And he said, "Yep, we're good to go." And I nodded 2 feet away from my rope, and as he started to move out, I jumped up to it. So then my thought process with that was that he wouldn't have any idea where I was going to be as soon as the chute gate opened. So he was just going to have to buck to what he was thinking. He wasn't setting no game plan, and I was just trying to trick him. And by golly, it worked. He had the 2 best trips. I rode him 2 consecutive weekends doing that, and he had the best 2 trips of his life.
Yeah, and what were I remember seeing the rides, but I don't remember the point totals that you had on those 2 rides.
93 3/4 on the first one, and then I set the regular season record last year with 94 points.
Yeah, wow, incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love the mentality you talk about. It's a lot of instinct and reaction, right? Like you're doing a lot of training, but the way it correlates to, our fans in our world and other wrestlers that might be listening to you is just the preparation ahead of time. But in the moment, you're just kind of reacting, keeping your mind clear and just reacting to the moment. But also, I hear a lot of courage, a lot of attack mentality, right? Like, the ability to make that adjustment in the moment, right? Like, we've watched Michael Jordan, the dance, and you see the great performers, they make adjustments in the moment. And yeah, that's amazing that you thought of that, that he was making that adjustment, huh? So you watched his films, how he bucks. How did you make that adjustment?
Just from being on him those 2 prior times. Yeah, we are.
We got you back.
Just from being on him those 2 prior times, I got up there and I got a seat on him. And with that, he went across the arena and just ducked and dived. And as soon as he felt me to one side, that's when he made that turn and turned back away from me to buck me off. And I thought, I bucked off him twice already. I might as well just take my chance and see if this works, jumping him. And sure as heck, just jumping on top of him right before sliding up to my rope like that. Yeah. It didn't let him think. And it wasn't letting me be too comfortable on him already. It was just making us both go and our ability take over at that point.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool stuff.
That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's good stuff, Jess. Hey, we want to be respectful of your time and really appreciate you jumping on. And once again, Bill alluded to it. You obviously know, we've had you out to a national team camp, and a lot of the guys, and obviously had a successful high school and some wrestling background, and really just thank you for taking the time. And obviously, we wish you a speedy recovery. We looking forward to seeing you back in there. But man, all the best. And Bill, I'll throw it to you, and then we can give Jess the last word here.
Yeah, Jess, of course, I'm a huge fan of yours, and as a fellow Montanan, I'm really proud of what you're doing, how you represent not only wrestling and bull riding, but how you represent yourself in the state. You're just a quality man. Got a whole lot of wrestling fans that will be following you, and we wish you the best and healthy recovery, and we'll look forward to seeing you back in the arenas here in the fall. And of course,
awesome.
We'll look forward to getting you back out here whenever your schedule permits.
That would be awesome with me. Thank you guys so much. You guys are doing such a great job, and thanks for having me on here and just involving me with Team USA Wrestling.
All right, that's it for today's Moments Off the Mat with 2-time PBR champ Jess Lockwood and head men's freestyle coach Bill Zadick. Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all.